Oh, hey, I guess you're here to find out updates on the Mercury. Well, here you go. So welcome to the channel, and that's a couple of the things we've had going on. You can see from the video that we did a whole bunch of moving around here. So we've made it more of a priority to get all the little pieces done, to get everything prepped for when we do the repair on the frame, as well as get it painted. And then once it's ready, we can actually just bolt all the other parts on that are ready. So we set up a couple stations here so that we could clean greasy parts, as well as get some sandblasting done on the smaller parts that fit in the booth. I'll just tell you a little bit about that. But in the meantime, the boys had done a backyard session, and they got all the fabric or vinyl removed, or the seat cushions all removed off the seats, and got all the matting and padding and everything separated. And now we have the bare frames that we can clean up. So those are ready, and I kind of show you a little bit. We had it all laid out on the concrete so that we could document what was there, and before we packaged it all up. And there's a really cool detail on there. I'm going to show you a close-up on it. We found that the seats and the interior panels, well, seats for sure anyways, were made in Ajax, Ontario, which is not real far from here, just on the other side of Toronto. And the other thing that was kind of cool on there, it looked like there was 30 red convertible interiors ordered based on one of the tags that was on one of the pieces. So we thought that was pretty cool, and every time we come across something like that, it's sort of interesting to find out about it, because it's all new to us. So I think that's that for that. I'm gonna flip it. Yeah, our dollar store parts washer became kind of inusable after its first use. It actually did clean this steering box, the one part, and then the very next time we went to use it, the pump crapped out on it. So we don't recommend using dollar store parts washers. But Tim brought over a pond pump, and the pond pump is still working, even though it's probably not supposed to be in there. So here's a bunch of the parts. The valve covers, you know, the original ugly green is still underneath, but whoever did some engine work decided to paint them this, we thought it was Chevy orange, but it's actually kind of way too red to be Chevy orange. Did a preliminary cleaning on the carburetor. I'm going to be taking all that apart, of course, and part of the throttle linkage there, and then you can see there's all kinds of pieces. These suckers here, these are the hood hinges. Wow, another one of these things that really impresses us when we see this is all original paint on it. We haven't even touched these, just cleaned them up, and I'll show you how covered in oil they were. It's probably the reason they survived. But it was just amazing to see that all that paint had survived the 60 years that it had been painted ago. And even some of the red paint is still actually on the spring that goes on those hinges. There's the horns, of course, the starter motor. I'm going to take that apart and get that rebuilt. There's a few there. Some of the other parts, the small ones that we started getting prepped to go in the blaster, the battery tray. These are brackets for the rad support that got to be done. This is the generator bracket, I think. I'm pretty sure it is anyways. And one thing we found, these are bumper brackets. We found that if we wire wheel them, we can cut our blasting time in half. So that's sort of one thing that we've decided to do. And you know, when you're doing jobs, the other thing that always winds up is when you got to fix equipment, which the parts washer was, and then Mitch made a new piece of plexiglass for the top of the blaster. But we have a spot out back the shed, I think, is where we're going to wind up going with it. Here's some pieces that finally made it. So these were all blasted, and these are now painted. This is a bumper bracket. This is a flywheel cover, so that goes between the transmission and the engine. This is the defroster cover that goes in the engine bay. We may do a little bit more cleanup on it. There's just a couple of nicks here and there in it. Another bumper bracket. This is the throttle pedal bracket that goes in front of the accelerator pedal inside the car. And this is the top fan shroud. It looks pretty good, but there's just a little bit of the pitting still from the blasting. On the inside, it won't matter because that's underneath. But this is actually exposed on the top in the engine bay. So we're probably going to do a little more cleanup and maybe a bit of fill work on that so it's nice and smooth looking. But it's getting there. So this is the paint that we used on the parts. We actually bought enough to do the chassis, or the frame, if you will. And we had extra cans, so we thought we'd give it a shot on some smaller parts. This came pretty highly recommended to us. And the one thing I will say about Eastwood is when you call them to order your paint, they actually have a book listing of all the parts for all the models in all the years, and they're able to tell you what color individual components should be. And we now know that, you know, there's a number of them that are satin black, but like the inner fenders are flat black. Of course, our breather is gold. The engine is what they call old Ford green. And at least to deal with, they're quite good. We'll be able to tell you how the paint stands up more after we see it going back together, and that and the durability, as well as when, of course, we do a little bit of touch-up work on some of these parts. It'll be pretty apparent. The other thing that the boys worked on that was a big deal. They spent a lot of time on these, and these were not easy to get apart. So these are the window frames. This is one of the pieces that will have to be re-chromed. And the seals that were in here, there was so much sediment inside here. And what it did was there's a little channel as well, like a sheet metal channel. The rust actually pushed the channel so tight that it wouldn't release the window. We kept carving at it with a razor blade until we finally got enough of it all out of there to actually get the window out. But we successfully got all the windows out without breaking them, and we're quite happy about that because, of course, that's all original glass. So that's the majority of the updates for now. Also got both gauge clusters apart. And you saw one dash coming apart. The parts dash also was completely disassembled, and as a matter of fact, we've sent off a couple of maybe all the dash pieces to be re-chromed that go across the center of the dash. As well as the steering column and steering wheel are fully disassembled. I'm going to show you those in the next video. There's a couple of really neat things about that as well. It's amazing that some things could survive 60 years, and there's actually one part that is absolutely perfectly intact from time because it was sealed inside the well, what we know is a horn button, but it's just the center of this steering wheel because, of course, it has three separate horn buttons actually on the steering wheel. So I'm going to try to get a little more video footage when we're doing work. We get going and then I forget to set up a camera and then I got to backtrack to get these videos together. But progress is still being made on the car. We're going to continue once we set up some sandblasting out back the shed. I think it's going to move a lot faster. And then, of course, we've got big pieces to do. And we have the big sandblaster, which we're going to set up a tent or a garage in a box or something. We just haven't totally figured it out. So, thanks for watching. And we'll be back soon with some more Monterey stuff every Wednesday. And by the way, I got to give a shout out to the guys because the guys come here every Wednesday. They work for beer. I mean, how much cheaper can you find labor? But they show up every Wednesday to work, and we put our hours in, and then we have a beer and have a few laughs. And I think we're all enjoying this. It's been both educational, a lot of fun, and of course, we enjoy doing this kind of work. So have a great day. We'll talk to you later.